COVID affected all of you in your respective areas. I'm sure it's put a hold on many things that you would have done otherwise. But how has it helped you? Has it helped you refocus your thinking in terms of what you're doing? So let's start with Helen. How has COVID worked for you?
It definitely affected me a big deal because my job involved me visiting my clients. And, in situations like this, the initial knee-jerk reaction from the clients would be, oh no, we're all shut down. So, we shouldn't be seeing each other. But that didn't stop them from communicating with me, of course. And it took a while. It took a while for people to realize, like now, that balancing their home is essential to help them, to live in a safer environment, a more comfortable and safe environment in terms of, by understanding the disturbances in the environment, like your EMF, your radiation, so on and so forth.
You got something for COVID as well in your mix?
Yes, of course. COVID is all about, your immune system. Some get it worse, some doesn't get it. Like some doesn't get it at all. So it all has got to do with your immune system. So if you have an environment and you took care of yourself, and particularly biogeometry, we don't just take care of the environment, we take care of the individual.
The income was cut because suddenly no work for a few months. But I actually really enjoyed it and really appreciated the time to myself, because when I was doing so much traveling, I didn't have the time to really focus on taking care of myself. Like I would be sleeping really late because I'm always like working on my programs and all that, and I'll be flying, I'll be eating badly. But during COVID, for a really good period of time, I was able to just wake up and just do my exercise like I always wanted to do, and really be very selective about what I eat, because I was doing my own cooking and I could decide what I put in my body. So to be honest, I felt like in my best form, physically and health-wise during the whole COVID period, even though money-wise was, the complete opposite.
Yeah. I'm glad now we've been here for 7 months already. There's some small job here that we did for association and all that. Like 1 or 2 songs online, we just do it.
Got to keep the music playing as well, right? Yeah. Okay, Tama, as a musician yourself as well, what's the situation been for you?
Pre-COVID, yes, we had a lot of concerts before COVID, and then concerts booked at Esplanade Concert Hall, and then for traveling to China and even the UK, that is all being cancelled. And all of a sudden, I find myself staying at home for a few months during the phase 1. And then I continued to practice as usual, Mondays to Fridays, between 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. And in the beginning, I always wanted to be a soldier. I wanted to be in the Singapore Armed Forces Commando unit. But I have the love for music since I was a child, and been constantly struggling between these two. And when I failed to get into the SF Commando unit because of my eyesight, so I decided that maybe I should just focus on my first love, which is music. And then from then onwards, I went into the People's Association, and then I started to study and learn about our local cultural music first. Then, because of that, I can focus on the Western music. So that's how I became a musician, and I never turned back, because I just followed my heart, Yeah, I did not even think about the economy. It was just all about let me serve the music. Yeah. I'm now in danger of becoming a full-time drum tutor, because I used to decline a lot of private tuition because of my commitment to the concerts. So now some of the parents are calling me and says, "When's your next gig?" And then I say, "No, there's no gig now." So when I will inform you when the next gig comes by. He says, "Yeah, so now you can teach my child." So,
that was a loaded question.
In the beginning, I had to be a nice person and then get bullied sometimes. But at the end, they have to follow me because the business is with me.
So when you say the business is with you, what did you do to develop the business?
I take the job. I create the job. I see all these bosses or what, or TV station or something. Back in Malaysia, there's so many jobs, live band. Unlike here is a very small market, especially for Malay music. Malaysia is like every weekend you have shows and with a live band. So that kind of thing that they all have to work with me, whether they like it or not. But I think I'm quite nice lah. And I had got to know all the TV station, and then to make sure my boss have on par salary with the A-list artists in Malaysia.
I'm trained an interior designer, so I ran an interior designing firm for many years. And you know, being in a corporate market, you get your clients who suddenly subscribe to Feng Shui, for example. And 6 months into the project, the client said, "This is my Feng Shui master. Please change the design." So, you know, as an interior designer, how pissed can you be, right? So I went to learn Feng Shui to kind of figure things out to see if this is valid. Do they really make sense? And it was great because along the line that I picked up some gems and realized that, hey, you know, if you understand design, this can be really cool. It doesn't need to look tacky. People think it was so cool, you know, instead of looking for a Feng Shui master to come in, now you have an interior designer who understands Feng Shui. You get a 2-in-1 under the roof. And then years go by and I was not satisfied with what I learned in Feng Shui, and I just think that, hey, what about this radiation? What about the EMF? What about the other modern technology that we're looking at? Because, you know, those days in the dynasties, the emperor doesn't use Wi-Fi. He doesn't have a mobile phone. He doesn't have a router in his palace, right? So environment was really different at that point in time, and theories were written, principles were written during the ancient time. And we're talking about modern time. How much can be applied right now? And that's how I went into my search and research. And thankfully, I have very nice people around me who pointed me to biogeometry. And I realized that, hey, they're very similar in so many ways, except that the science of it focused, you know, very much on the physics of qualities. And with that, you know, it makes so much sense. Like doing music, for example, you understand harmonics. You know, it's just the same. In biogeometry, we look at harmonics, we look at waveform, we look at why these waveforms coming from the Wi-Fi, coming from your electricity is, you know, wearing you off or compromising your immune system at the same time. So yes, I did not seriously plan it. I would say I'm very fortunate. Feng Shui came to me, biogeometry came to me my way.
What were your first steps after making the decision to go out on your own?
The musician need to sustain not only himself, but to try to sustain the musicians' friends and families in the industry. Then all of a sudden, I find myself wanting to influence everybody to take care of each other and maintain the market price. And also, there are certain ways we need to behave in the industry and how we work with the equipment guys, the suppliers, and we became suppliers, and we also allow ourselves to be provided to other events. That means we can be hired, and or we hire some people. And then for me, being able to work as a leader and also as a sideman. So these are the things that the musicians or the artist practitioner should take, because in the beginning it's always fun and love and follow the heart. But after a while, we need to get to the logistics and operational stuff, and also doing it legitimately and organize our life. So as a musician, sometimes I tend to not want to know about the figures and the numbers and all that. That's why I need to have somebody to help me in the office.
You find that you were a natural at it, that you were able to take it in your stride and do it, or did you have to really dig deep to make some of the more difficult decisions?
Well, it wasn't easy or difficult. It's just that I just felt that I have to do it, because in the late 70s and early 80s, musicians just like to wait for gigs. So I said, no, we should start to create gigs and start to help people who hire musicians. So it all started like that, and everybody just have more time to organize themselves. So the musicians just have do their job and go on stage and perform, and without having to call bosses and all that. So we had one person in the company to deal with that. So it makes life a bit more organized.
Yeah. How about you, Juria? How many people do you have working with you?
Okay, it start from just me, and then I make Ramli as my business. His talent is become a business, like a commodity, you know. So I set up a company for him, and doing his show, his concert. When we do concert in KL, we can do tour because there's so many cities. We can even fly to Sabah, Sarawak, and all. And after that, I have to take care of the we did a live concert, we record them and we make it to a TV program, and we print it in DVDs and we sell it. We are small, but sometimes for distribution, I need a big label to do it for me, like Warner Music or Universal. And we also doing his own album. We produce his own album. Of course, he's the producer, and we take care of his publishing right also. So and I have one or two guys that always with me, but the rest I just on the job basis.
So you contract whoever's needed for particular things. Yeah.
When I came out to do this professionally, it was I left my architecture career. I was an architect up to then. And it was a really painful decision because I was in a fantastic firm, amazing colleagues, great bosses, and there's really no reason to go other than there's this calling in my heart that was basically, it's beckoning me to do it. And I just realized that if I didn't do it when I was still young, in my 20s, once I became director, I go up the ranks within the organization, I'll never leave anymore because life would be too comfortable. And so when I was, so after 2 years as an architect, I thought that I had to make that decision. It was really now or never. You have to be a self-starter, like what Tama has said, right? In my time, there was no people like Juria, managers who will manage us. So we had to really manage ourselves at that time. If you're young, amazing. Take advantage of your youth because a lot of people will help you when you are young. When whether it's NAC grants, sponsorships, company, if you approach companies, they feel how much you want to make this happen, a lot of companies will find a way to help you. And that was my experience when I was starting, and there were projects that I wanted to do. I just went knocking on doors. I was quite thick-skinned, so I had to really just go and just just try and knock on doors and try and pitch to whoever will listen to me. And even if they can't give me monetary help, I try and barter with them. Like maybe, okay, you can't give me money, maybe you can sponsor equipment or something like that to help me get the project going. So think about collaboration, working with other people. And the other thing that you might want to think about if you're trying to go into this path is that because money is not always consistent, you might want to think about being an octopus. You might want to also be teaching, whatever skill you have. You might want to, a lot of my friends who are actors, right, they have something stable that's at a teaching gig that they have to pay the bills so that they can actually continue to pursue the artistic stuff. So think about, yourself, what do you have to offer, and think about how you can actually plan in such a way that you can still have some kind of source of stability, that you don't feel like, you don't ever want to be in that desperate position where, I've got only $2 left in my bank account kind of situation.
How have you used social media to good advantage, or technology, not just social media?
Being able to keep up with the world is very important as an arts practitioner. So I've enjoyed using Instagram so much that I keep about a total of 3 public Instagram accounts to connect with the world. Yeah, so Facebook is just for me to connect with Facebook friends and also what's happening in Singapore in my concerts and all that. So that has all changed because I've never imagined myself, even until today, to look at the screen and see all of us and we are communicating. Yeah, so life has changed. Yeah.
Actually, social media is amazing, especially if you are trying to brand yourself personally, right? In today's day and age, don't be scared of it, because that is actually an amazing tool and it's free.